Okay, so I'm here with Edgar, Shirley, Adriel, who collectively are here to support the film Home.
Yeah, that's correct.
Brilliant film that we have in our festival. Congratulations.
Thank
DOP,
you,
Edgar, actress, Shirley, amazing, and Adriel, the director.
Yeah.
Who's going to tell me the synopsis of the film?
I think I will, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Home is about a small-town best-selling author that starts to endure heart failure for unknown reasons. And after enduring a life-altering out-of-body experience, her two daughters start to face hallucinations in their home that starts to reveal family secrets of their past, moving towards a broken bond.
You said that so eloquently. You've rehearsed this, I can tell.
I've maybe
You know
said
this-
it a couple hundred times.
Yeah, I reckon so. I'm surprised you didn't close your eyes and just, recite it. Thank you for that. So where does this twisted tale come from?
It comes from a dream.
That you had?
No, that someone else had that told me. And it's just a portion of the story, very minuscule. Basically, the dream revolved around two sisters that had their relationship put to a test due to some sort of unexplainable entity. That was really it. And then I wanted to add a lot of ideas in that made it unique. A relationship with a mother that one daughter had very strongly, and a broken bond between the other, forcing two sisters to kind of choose the relationship that they want to pursue, whether it's with each other, with their mother, and then to raise those stakes, have a mother who's dying, but no one, including the hospitals, know what's going on with her medically. They think she's self-inducing whatever's happening. It's hypochondria.
So you knew the bones of the story from the dream, and then then you have to fill it out, elaborate, and then crikey, it's just like a couple of lines, and you just got to make it into a film.
Yeah, it started from a 4-page draft that I wrote based on that. Pitched it to my team. It was, it was so in its infancy in that first 4-page draft out that we didn't even know if we were going to tackle it. But I ended up having some time after our first short film that I really wanted to get back into writing, and then came the first draft. And I think that's where we really started to see the magic behind what we can do with it. And a couple years later, we're 3 drafts deep, and we really saw the potential and wanted to go for the investment, and the rest was history. It took its time. It really did. It didn't always have the solidity in the stories and characters as it does now. It really did take growth, and I'm just happy that life took its time before we made the film.
And of course, we're trying to get a really brilliant cast and crew, including the DOP and actress, and unfortunately you ended up with these two.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Scraping the barrel. No, seriously, how did you you're going to use that line? Do you two, all 3 of you know each other, or how did it all?
Oh yeah, we own a film production company.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't realise it was a whole, as it were, overarching, team. I thought you had brought a team in, so I didn't realise you were connected.
No, we did. So we brought in. This was the biggest crew we'd ever worked with
on
our projects. So, it was a collective of people we've hired through our commercial side of our company, a collective of people that we had high recommendations of, that had been on film sets with other filmmakers we highly trusted.
So, for instance, with Shirley, you weren't part of the team, or you were part of the team, or you brought in as a gun for hire. Are you part of the production crew as well?
I'm part of the production company as a whole.
Right. Okay.
So our production company hired crew members to come and hop on, and cast members to come and hop on.
Right. Obviously, yeah.
But I'm the operational manager outside of all of this.
Yeah.
So I started doing that and helping scheduling and contracting for commercial work, and then we just started talking about creative. And then we all spent so much time, like you brought your script in, and then we revised it and revised it and revised it.
So tell me, with this script, for instance, as it's a company, as a collective,
Yeah.
you're bringing the draft in. Am I right in assuming that you, Shirley, or you, Edgar, could have said, actually, this isn't really floating. This is not going for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
We're
I'm sure
very
this
honest
happens.
with
How
our
does it?
pitches.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the team work. We kind of hate each other sometimes when we're in a room, just a little bit, because we're completely different personalities. I'm very much business, whereas he's very much creative, where she's very much logical and what's actually factual, or what's possible, or what can we get in the realm of possibility. So when you get 3 contrasting personalities like that in a room, you get really heated discussion because you get contrasting opinions on what's right and wrong. But at the end of the day, what comes out of that conversation ends up being the right choice. And that's what's gotten us here, is just having those opinions thrown around, having opinions shut down, And
Yeah, because they may have said, you know, obviously it didn't because you made the film.
Yeah.
They may have said, look, I can see what you're trying to achieve with this, but it's just not going anywhere. They just weren't buying into it. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there are.
He did with the first draft.
Oh
of
right,
the
okay.
film.
What do you
When
say?
I
Said
showed
no.
him the first draft, he didn't, and that's kind of a big inspire to me as to why I went back and changed a lot of the things. It was 5 pages, that first ever pitch script, right? So there's so much left to interpretation that didn't come in until the third draft of the film. But you didn't actually like the first pitch script of Home.
Yeah.
Very much. It was quite simple. But I guess it was a good motivator. It was a good motivator that I believed in the story, and I really wanted to find some truth to it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why the second draft came out substantially better than the first.
Going off of what Roman's saying, even throughout the production process, it was difficult for me to truly see the bigger picture. I caught glimpses of it whenever Roman was sharing his vision, and I placed a lot of trust in him. And it wasn't until we were in the editing room where there was that aha moment in terms of, oh, I see what this is now. This is so much more beyond what I imagined this could have been.
Yeah.
And it was really, really fascinating just having that finally click in for me.
So does that work? Sorry to interrupt. Does that work with, say, going to you, Shirley? So now I know you're creatively, because that's very. I've got to say, it's very rare that you will get particularly actor and actress in to be part of that creative team, because that's why I said it to you. A gun for 99 times out of 100, out of the actors and actresses, they don't have any creative input. They are literally bought as guns for hire, you know, because they are, aren't they, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, which means I'm assuming that you could have, as being part of this team, go, yeah, great, this part, but this can't do this because this wouldn't work, and just cut this line, and that's bullshit. So you'll never say that, or whatever happened. I'm guessing, did that kind of happen? Was there any moments like that?
Absolutely. Definitely when we had our first read-through and the read-throughs after, we started to discover relationships between the characters,
right,
and how they have relationships with themselves. And I think all of that together just kept growing and growing. I kept questioning, like, why would she act like this? Why would she have this relationship with this person and not have this relationship with this person? How does she feel about herself?
right.
And all of those questions led to just really together finding out what your vision is and what you really saw.
And I suppose a massive advantage is you all know each other work. So if you're any project you're working on, you kind of know what they're bringing to the table, right?
Yeah.
Because you can rely on them to trust them to do X, Y, or Z. Where if you're bringing in, let's assume you didn't know each other, you're bringing him in as the DOP. Okay, you trust him, he's going to get on and do the job. You can't be entirely sure until he's shooting, can you? Whereas knowing him...
And equipment's not a tell, right?
No,
like
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've got all the best golf equipment in the world, but it doesn't mean I'm actually shit, right? Because I know, but I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, so, it really helped that we developed our cinematography style together.
Yeah.
So, I know that our styles are very similar. I know what his strong suits are. It was really interesting because the cinematography style in this film is actually a little bit out of his comfort zone and what I know he would normally choose to do.
What you mean in terms of the look, the equipment, or the style?
I'd say look, he's very much a still videographer. He loves still videography, tripod-based shots. I'm sure I'm safe in assuming that, but you can take the torch from what I'm saying.
That's exactly right. In the beginning, it was very much because a big theme throughout the movie is just this constant unease, and it's something you can't quite decipher. And so initially, my thought went to, I'm a big fan of tripods. I always have been, and it's again just very yin and yang.
Well, rather than using steady cams or stuff like that.
Right, and that's what we ended up using, and I had big issues with it at first. But as the more we talked, the more we dissected it, I think we found this beautiful compromise where I ended up loving the final product. And
when, this might be a bit of an awkward question, I'm going to ask this anyway. Well, not awkward, but it might be interesting. When you're writing the script, I'm assuming Shirley's in. You've got to remind to be the lead actress, right?
The lead character was literally based on her. So when the film took I'd say its third draft, Sydney's character really evolved. I based a lot of it on relationships that she actually had with her mother at the time in life. They were having kind of a rocky relationship in a transitionary period, and kind of seeing both sides of that really inspired me to give her something that she could pull from in her real life.
What would have happened if, God forbid, this is a tricky question.
Yeah.
You're doing the read through, and you're going, yeah, I get this. I'm happy with the DOP, the photography, with the sound engineer. We've got that. We can't Sydney this year, and you go, no way. This is I can't play this character because I don't think I'm the right actress for the part. I mean, I'm sure that doesn't happen. I'm sure it doesn't happen. But imagine if you're sitting down doing the read through, you suddenly realise that actually, although you're obviously an accomplished actress, the part you're being asked to play is not really, because you might be better off playing another character. I don't know, but I guess what I'm getting at is, has that ever happened? And what would you do if it did?
I think I related with the character for the most part. I think there are some moments that I was a little worried about. They get a little intense and a little scary to there's some parts of it, like, you can't fully relate to a character because I live my life, that character lives their life. And to step into that and experience new things, but also driving from something that I've experienced, there were definitely some scary moments that I was like, I don't know if I can fully relate, but
because it could happen. It could really.
Yes,
I mean, it's rare and it's
absolutely.
unlikely, but there could be a moment.
It definitely could happen. It wasn't, kind of going off of that. There was a last-minute recast that had happened anyways.
No, well, not her, but obviously someone else.
Someone else,
okay,
yes. And literally there was a part that had to be recast while filming the film. It was one of the most grueling experiences we had to go through.
How the hell did you do that? Because you can't start going through casting calls, can you? I mean, you just haven't got the time to do that.
Right,
I guess,
so we had a backup in mind that we had really wanted. It was somebody that, we actually had hopes would show up to auditions prior. We had worked with him on earlier films. He wasn't originally able to accommodate his schedule to be a part of the project. We had a different actor in place. Due to some really unfortunate circumstances, we had to choose to not work with this individual that we had already cast.
Right, okay.
And because this character only needed 2 days of filming, we pushed those to the very end of production.
Right, okay,
and we were spending all of our time figuring out what we can do for the recast. Just so happens that life opened up and the same actor that we really wanted to be a part of the film ended up being available. We were able to fly him out to set, and he did a miraculous job. It was a blessing in disguise for us. So.
It was also difficult because we weren't in our home city.
So where was the shoot?
In Reno.
Oh, okay. Where are you normally based?
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So
a bit of a mission there.
Yeah, about an 8-hour drive. So we did most of it was a drive for us. We took a lot of the cast and crew in 3 vehicles. We packed up all the trunks.
Aircon on max, and off we go.
Yes.
And then we had some people being flown in. Mainly, if you only needed 2 to 3 days of filming, we flew you in and flew you back out. But if you were going to be filming with us for 15 days, they took the drive with us just because we were all going to be living on set. We had a set house and a sleep house. Set house was also a sleep house after set hours, but for some cast and crew. And then we also had a sleep house where the remainder would go. So,
I can't imagine anyone working out of Las Vegas. I know it sounds a bit silly, but I never imagine, because I've been to the States, but I've never been there, but I've never envisaged there being kind of business, I mean, other than obviously casinos and so on and so forth, but it's a kind of a surprise to me.
It's changing.
Because I would have thought if you're going to be anywhere, you'd rather be in Reno than, so it's weird. Maybe it's, I don't know, whatever reason you're based there, but that's
No, the Vegas community is ever evolving.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been this thriving of an independent community. Right now, it's at its peak that I've seen growing up, being born and raised in the city. There's more filmmakers now making quality films than ever before. Production companies that have opened up their warehouses and are operating in the feature community full time. Consistent investments in our city, consistent successful crowdfunding campaigns. So it's lovely. I think the only problem with Vegas is there's a lack of interesting film sets or art to pull from for locations.
Yeah, because the films I'm just immediately thinking of, I've seen in Leaving Las Vegas, of course, fantastic film.
Yeah.
Oceans, I don't know, 1 to 20 or whatever the one. I haven't got any idea, but films.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them based around gambling. So, but I'm sort of struggling to think of any films that I've seen that are set in Las Vegas.
That don't circle around the strip, right?
Yeah,
a lot of our houses are very cookie cutter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So definitely leaving to Reno and seeing all the variety of houses and architecture and the texture of the streets and the houses and the lamps. It's just
changed
entirely
everything.
different.
Seriously, I mean, the bookstore that we had in our film was 100 years old. It used to be a house that got renovated into a bookstore. Like, there was so much culture in Reno that we didn't even realize it. We went scouting over there in hopes that it would be a good fit for us, and we fell in love. You'd think within the same state, a lot of things would follow the same structure, but that wasn't the case. Reno had the most unique vibe we could have ever gotten for only being about 400 miles away. So it saved us a lot of money being able to allocate the budget to driving people out there versus having to accommodate flights for an entire cast and crew.
And how do you all know? I know you've got this team. I'm assuming you've all been friends for years, or at university or college, whatever. How did you all meet?
We went to actually we went to the same high school.
Oh,
which is,
okay. And
ironic.
Shirley, were you at the same school as well?
So I didn't go to the same. I went to the same school. I didn't go the same year.
Right. So you're clearly a lot younger than them, yeah?
I am, yeah. But we all went to the same school, and we all had like dramatically different experiences as theater majors at Las Vegas Academy.
Yeah.
We were all actors, and so they did Taming of the Shrew during their years, and I did Macbeth, and we just grew up and somehow met later in life to create this film.
Okay.
It was a commercial shoot that I met you guys.
That's right.
Because it is a rare
Yes,
thing, I have
as
to say,
an
like I say,
actress.
to actually have. Obviously, we do get people where you get one or two that work together, but to have, and this is not meant to be patronising, I'm just being honest, to
Yeah.
actually have an actor and actress as part of that is really quite interesting. You know, because they,
Yes.
like I said, they don't normally get to call the shots, do they? You know, because you're not normally part of the team, are you? You're brought in, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
Definitely going to school, we had a lot of opportunities to not only work as actors, but work as crew, because we were required to get hours. So we had to keep working constantly to keep completing projects, keep being in plays, keep creating film shorts, and just keep working, so that kind of training to keep us in all aspects of being on set, off set, crew, acting, that experience was just super beneficial to get us to where we are today.
and filming by its very nature is really tough, right? And I don't just mean any part of aspect of filmmaking is a tough business to be in, because it's really competitive.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you've got to be ahead of the pack, and I suppose you're looking for work and trying to, I don't know, not reinvent yourself, that's the wrong word, but you're always trying to make yourself a bit different to try and stand out, but then you've got to pitch and try and get the work in, haven't you? So, and I guess this is a constant job for all of you, I guess.
Yeah,
You know,
it's constant.
Probably the most difficult thing of being an artist and doing filmmaking is just this constant battle between perfection and getting it done. And I think I'm grateful that we do commercial, because that's taught us to have a definitive deadline to, look at a piece of art and say, you know what, this isn't exactly how I wanted it. It's very, very close, and I'm okay with that. And you shelve it and you put it away, you grow from it. And I think that's something that we all have instilled in us, and I'm very, very happy that we do have that.
I was lucky enough to interview one of Stanley Kubrick's cinematographers a few years ago, and he told me his amazing story, because I asked him about that, and I said, what's it like working for him? He said, nightmare. He said he would do, he said it's all true, he would do 80 takes. He said, but he would only ask you to do something that he would be prepared to do himself. But he said, I asked him, I said, was he a perfectionist? He said, yeah. He told me the story about what he would need to do, and he was whatever film he did, it was never good enough. So every film you've ever seen, he was always trying to. But eventually, you've got to put the film out there, right?
Right.
So what he was trying to say to me was, even with someone like him, he was never entirely satisfied with the films he finished, because he always wanted to play them. So I've taken that to heart, and it doesn't matter what you do. We're all in the same boat, kind of thing, aren't we?
It's the curse of the artist.
It is, and you just got to let go of it one, don't you? And
Yeah.
you might want to go back and go, oh, if I'd done, but Christ, you're just going to end up driving yourself crazy.
You'll never be able to enjoy your projects like
Yeah.
some of your future fans will ever be able to dissect your film, your music. There's always a strive for going back and watching a film and saying, oh, I could have done this better, or maybe if I have a little more time, I could redo this and make this stronger, rewrite this music to for whatever. But again, it's a good quality that we have. This film took a really long journey, and we're happy that we put it aside. Are there still things that we think we can go in there and add or tweak? Sure, but this
We're shooting
film,
it in 15 days.
yeah, I mean, we filmed it in 15 days.
But that's just the tip of it, because I know the P. I mean, I don't know this,
Yeah,
but I would know the pre and post production are adding oodles of time to that.
so much.
Of course.
Yeah. The biggest part of this and why it came out successful for us was spending 3.5 months, 5 days a week, 8-hour days.
Arguing with each other. How do you
all
get
of
on with it?
us.
Because it must be a nightmare sometimes. Because unlike other teams,
We had
you're
some
not going
bad
to
days.
disappear. You're not going, oh, we've done that film, never going to see
Yeah.
Joe Bloggs again, see you later. But you're all working together, aren't you?
And Steve, on top of that, we were also running a company together.
Yeah.
So we were literally splitting half our time into Rising Again Productions, and okay, half the time is, okay, how are we going to acquire funding? Let's break down the script.
Do tax returns and shit like that, which we've all got to do. No, because we have to, so I know where you're coming from. So you got to deal with the day-to-day stuff.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about this core business, I know this used to, do you have like a permanent sound designer or editor? Do you have them as part of the team? Was it essentially you three?
It's really us too. Edgar and myself handle everything in production. I mean, we try to label ourselves as visual media specialists. Like that's what we aim to do, and the commercial side has taught us. So we handle the cinematography, we handle the post-production. For clients that want the pre-production, we handle the script writing, the casting calls. I mean, we really, literally do all of it. When it comes to the films, things change a bit. We like to pass off certain roles because I'm sure you know how it gets on set. I mean, you have one person wearing too many hats, and the film ultimately suffers for that.
Spinning plates, I call it.
Yeah, you need to have some sort of structure to where you stand in the hierarchy of the film, or at least in your position of the film. Because once you start stepping out of it too much, something else falls apart. So we really wanted to make sure that this was the biggest crew we had ever worked with. We had a wonderful group of people, wonderful AD, script supervisor. I mean, we're really blessed in that aspect. But what's interesting is post is the one thing we still couldn't escape for this film. As much as we wanted to, we had an editor do some test sequences. It did not come out the way that we needed, and
or wanted, I guess,
Yeah, and I guess it called us back to the room, and next thing you know, 6 months.
I see, that's more time.
6 months of us just
more
out.
aggravation. I mean, I know loads of. Colin, who's here, he's our festival ambassador. He's just finished editing his latest film, and it's been going on for a long time. But it's not unusual. It's very, very usual. When you speak to any filmmaker. I mean, of course, I know you can edit a film in a week or so. Kind of edit a week or so. But the truth is that most films we know of, they're going to take a long time. It's just the nature of the business.
Yeah.
And you'll probably had hours and hours, days and days of footage, and you've got to hone all that down into 60, 120, whatever film it is. And I know it's tough.
Terabytes on terabytes, multiple drives.
Well,
backups,
drives. Literally stacks of drives. Of people I know that have got stacks of drives, and I've got to work through it. This guy had done AB negative, and he said, I've done some days we're doing 40 or 50 shots, and he said we had terabytes, stacks of drives, working through all that. And you kind of think, well, that's unusual, but it's not unusual, it's very usual. And of course, now in the digital age, you've got to plumb all these in, you've got to draw it all in, and then you've got to start. I mean, I don't know I assume you had storyboards, and I assume you had a beginning, middle, and end, but as a basic thing, and then you've got to work to that. But even so, it's never going to go the way you want it to, because there'll be scenes in there you will excise, and there'll be scenes which you didn't want, and there'll be scenes in there that you suddenly think, well, that's really good, and I didn't think of that. So all of a sudden, the editing process takes on a whole new life, right?
It does.
Because it's the nature of filmmaking.
Absolutely. Next thing you know, we're doing Foley. Next thing you know, we're doing the Foley design. All the Foley in the film was entirely handled by he and I while we were doing post-production.
So the sound design, I mean, what about the sound? Because that's an art in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I know the Foley, but then you've got to do with the sound mix, the sound editing, the sound design.
So it was kind of beneficial because I guess on the side, I work on music for myself, so I have a huge understanding of mixing and mastering and working in professional audio software.
Right, so that's a massive advantage.
So that helped me be able to bring that talent to the project, whereas he has a really great ear for realism and sound. It's even led him to a project he's working on right now that's a radio show. It's entirely based on sound. Everything is fully designed.
I mean, of course, if you're going down there, you've got multi-channel to deal with as well. If you're going to get involved, now God knows what if you're doing all that, but it's all part and parcel of the mix, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that necessarily people are that bothered about having it in Dolby or DTS or whatever the latest thing is, but again, you've still got to think about the sound mix, haven't you?
It becomes a tunnel, I think, at that point. How deep are you going to go into it? And at some point, you have to just either hand it off to somebody or be okay that that you can just get lost in the details of it, because how many times did we say this is the final scene, and then we export it, we look at it, what, let's just
what if we added one more thing? It's just it's a curse. It really is.
Yeah, I think on your road to hell when you start doing things. Because that gets back to what I was saying earlier, about that famous story I told you about this cinematographer. You can tweak it forever, can't you? And I think when you look at people like, I don't know, Ridley Scott or James Cameron, they've done their editors' versions, but they just don't want to carry on doing it, do they? They want to let go of it because you want to work on other projects, don't you?
You want to carry on your art, and you want to learn from your mistakes and put them towards a project that can better on those ups and downs that you experience on the prior. So
probably the best part of letting it go too is seeing the reactions of people in the sense of they're getting interpretations of it that I personally didn't even catch, and like, oh, it was so great that you did this because of that. I'm like, yeah, that's
cool.
exactly it. That's the reason.
So what's the next big thing that you're on? Because there must be something happening if you can talk about it.
Well, not too much, but the next.
But you're all involved in it, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're a team through and through. It'll be a TV series called Singularity, and I think that's all I'll say.
7 episodes.
This has got Netflix written all over it.
We'll 7-episode science fiction drama. We're sticking in that dark, our brand is defined by dark, edgy, classy. Everything we do has to follow those guidelines, and this project is no different in that aspect than Home is. It's very dark in terms of content, moderately offensive, but at the end of the day, we aim to tell stories that induce reaction and feeling and something that maybe other filmmakers would be a little too uncomfortable to talk about,
right.
or content that they'd be a little uncomfortable to put people through in an experience. But I love uncomfortability. I guess that's why I love this genre. I love the feeling of fear. I love the feeling of not knowing.
We'll be swapping hats for this one. Roman will be the director of photography, and I'll be directing it.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, just fun that we get to kind of swap hats and all grow together. Shirley will be doing assistant directing. So.
Yeah, she's switching to the crew side for the next project. So
at least, well, now you know the film's going to be well made.
Yeah, as our operations manager, absolutely.
Anyway.
She reins us in. So.
Thanks, guys. That's fantastic fun. Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You.
It was a pleasure.
It's great. Thank you, Shirley.
Steve.
Thanks, matey.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great stuff.